Hey everyone, so today I wanted to share my labor and delivery story with you. Now, first off, I want to start off by saying labor is unpredictable. Inductions are for the better, but can be complicated. Now, the reason I was induced was because of high blood pressure, and my daughter was delivered with the assistance of a little vacuum suction, which I'll get into later on. But I went in for my 37-week checkup, and my blood pressure was still high from previous checkups. It started around the 35th week mark that my blood pressure had been high. So I was already scared because they were already monitoring me. My doctor was making me go 3 times a week to sit at the hospital to monitor my blood pressure to see that, yes, it would go down when I would be sitting down and doing nothing. So basically I was on bed rest, and he wouldn't allow me to do anything because my blood pressure wouldn't be stable if I'd be up and doing things. So he didn't want to put me on any medication because it was too late on in my pregnancy, and he just thought I'd hold it out. Now, I guess my mistake was expecting a natural delivery, expecting for me not to have an induction. I didn't even research C-sections. I looked up inductions towards the end of my pregnancy, but not very deeply into the induction topic. I was just thinking, oh, if she doesn't come after 40 weeks, I'll think about an induction. No, that I didn't get that chance. We didn't make it to 40 weeks. At 37 weeks, when I came in and my doctor saw that I was still having high blood pressure, it was like, okay, we can induce you today. What do you want to do? And I think it was like a Friday or Saturday. I'm not sure. I should have looked this down before I started talking about it, but I'm pretty sure it was a Friday because I went into the doctor's. So I told him I wanted to wait, and if we could possibly wait until the 1st of August, which I believe is a Monday. And so he told me, yeah, sure, that's fine. Just come on into the hospital Monday. There will be a bed waiting for you. So I get there Monday morning. It was almost noon. It was 11:30, and they admitted me to the hospital. Now, I was already freaked out at the thought of an induction. I at no point thought that my delivery was going to end with a assisted delivery via vacuum. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. It wasn't the forceps, it was the little vacuum that they use, which is like a little suction cup. Like when I just think of like the little shower suction ones, like that, it like grabs onto the baby's head, like from the top, and it sucks it up, and it helps you, or it helps the doctor get the baby out. I wasn't allowed to push, but before I get into that, um, they started me out with this little pill, and it's pretty much a little pill that allows you, sorry, was itchy, that allows you to soften your cervix. And I was asking the nurse, and she told me that um, that allows some women to start contracting better and to start dilating better, but that was not the case for me. I think you're allowed like 4 doses of that pill before they need to move on and do the Pitocin. And that's what I needed to do. I wasn't getting any progress, so I had to start Pitocin. Now, I wasn't happy about Pitocin. I had read some horrible things about it, so I wasn't happy about it. I was very upset pretty much my whole laboring because the whole process of my laboring, because nothing was in my control. Everyone was doing all sorts of things to me, and I couldn't control it. But hey, that's what needed to happen. I needed to let it go because all that mattered was my daughter getting there safely. So they tried the little pill, which was inserted up me. So that was invasive, but hey, that's what pregnancy and labor is. It's a very invasive. You get over your fear and shyness of other people being around you and staring at you naked and looking at you down there. You get over it really quick. I did it. Uh, so nurses, doctors would come and check on me, and I wasn't making any progress. They started me on pitocin. I went from 1 centimeter to 4 in like that. It was less than like 4 hours after they started me off on pitocin that I was at like 4 centimeters. And by then it was like 9 p.m., I believe. And at 9 p.m., I told them I couldn't take it anymore. Like the pain was so, like it just went from 0 to 4, like 0 to 4 centimeters, not scale wise, but the pain was so intense. It was so quick. And I'd like to think I have a pretty high pain tolerance, but that pain was crazy. Like it just started so fast. And I Googled after I went through all this process, I Googled if labor is harder when it's induced versus when it comes naturally. And a lot of people are telling me, like a lot of moms that have had both done are telling me that induction is like 30 times worse because it's just so intense and so lucrative that I think to myself, holy wow, this happened to me. And I experienced that pain. And at 4 centimeters, I couldn't anymore. I was like, no, 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 no. And I'm kind of glad that I asked for the epidural. So glad I asked for it because my daughter wasn't born until the next night. So on pitocin, on pitocin, on pitocin. And then I got to 9 centimeters, which was, I don't remember when I was at 9 centimeters. I want to say at like 7 p.m. the next day. So August 2nd, 2016 at 7 p.m. or something like that. I was at 9 centimeters and I had a bunch of nurses, everyone come checking me,
I
and I
should also
wasn't
mention at
making
this
any
point
progress
that the
past nine
doctor came in,
centimeters.
broke my water to
I
see
was
if it would
freaking
help,
out.
and it didn't
So I
really
was just
help.
so frustrated and I wanted it to be done. So at one point, this doctor, who isn't my doctor, who hasn't been my doctor throughout the whole pregnancy, comes in and meets me. And he had actually delivered my cousin's 3 kids. So I was like, oh, you're the guy who does the C-sections. And he's like, oh, really? Is that what I am? And I was like, ugh. I don't know. I guess it came off like rude to him. And so I apologized. I was like, I'm sorry. You just delivered my cousin's 3 kids and she's done it by C-section. All of them. So I was already thinking, oh gosh, this is a guy from the C-sections. I'm already thinking in my head, oh no, no, this isn't good. I'm not progressing. And so he tells me, no, no, that's not all I do. And I was like, all right, okay, nice to meet you. And he's like, I hear you're not progressing though. And I was like, yeah, it sucks. And so he leaves. Another doctor comes in. She checks me. She tells me I'm still at 9 centimeters. And my doctor isn't in yet. So my doctor can't make the call on what to do. She's going to call him and see what she does. So she calls him. And he tells her that if I don't progress within the hour, to go ahead and cut me open, give me a C-section, have it done with. Because I've been in the hospital for way too long and apparently they were over it. So I was really, really upset at that because I 1 more centimeter and I would have been done. And I was so upset. And when the nurse came in and she was telling me, all right, in an hour I'll check you, the hour passed by and I was frustrated thinking in my head, please progress, please progress. She came in an hour after and she tells me, you're still at 9 centimeters. And I was like, are you kidding me? So she tells me at this point, we're going to go ahead and bring in the other doctor because my shift is about to end. So she calls the other doctor in. She's waiting for him to come in. And long and behold, it was the doctor that I called the C-section doctor. So at this point, when I see him, I just lose it. I completely lose it. I did not want a C-section. It was the furthest thing from my mind. It was the thing I had least studied. It was what I felt most passionately against. I just did not want a C-section. So at that point, I'm so mad and angry. I'm like shaking and I start crying, and my mom's there calming me down, and my boyfriend's freaking out, and it's just crazy chaos. And at that point, he tells me, "All right, this is what we're gonna do." And I was already thinking, no. I see a bunch of people swarm in, and sorry, there's a giant FedEx truck passing by. I don't know if you hear it, but a swarm of people come in. They start preparing all sorts of tools and things, and I'm thinking, oh no, this is for surgery. They're gonna do this. They're gonna open me up. And he tells me, he goes ahead and feels me to see how dilated I am. Sorry for the visual. To see how dilated I am. And he's like, yes, I see what the problem is. And I was like, what's that? And he's like, your cervix is a little tilted. So what I'm going to do is readjust it. And then I'm going to help bring the child out. And I'm thinking, what? He's not going to do a C-section on me? And he's like, no, I'm not going to do one. We're going to try and vacuum deliver it. So he goes ahead and he explains to me that the vacuum suction is just a little suction that goes on my daughter's head. It's going to pull it out and pull her out. And then after her head is out, he can pull the rest of the body out. So it was crazy. It happens so, so fast. I don't even, like, I think back to it and I'm like, wow, that happened so fast. So they put my legs up on the little stir, I don't know what those things are called. And he's there, like, observing me. I know he cut me open to help her head fit out. But it wasn't, C-section. It was down there. He cut me down there. And to help the baby come out, it was literally the first plunge that he did. And he told me that if it didn't happen after the second or third try, that he would have to cut me open. So he did it on the first try. Took her right out, came right out, put her right on my chest. And I was so relieved. I was so happy. I was so emotional because I was thinking, wow, I almost had a C-section. I was terrified of a C-section. And my daughter was right there in my arms. They, of course, had to sew me up because he had cut me open. I was glad I avoided a C-section. I was terrified of having one. It's something that I am so terrified of. I didn't want the healing. I knew I wasn't going to have any help at home because my boyfriend works a lot. So I was thinking in my head, I'm not going to be able to do this. This is going to be so awful to heal from. And I just didn't want a C-section. And I thank God that that doctor was the doctor who delivered my baby. Because if it would have been any other doctor, they would have been like, she's not dilating. Let's cut her open. And the funny part was, it was the doctor that I pretty much mocked, and I was like, you're the C-section doctor. And he was like, really? Watch. And he didn't give me a C-section. Thank God. So yeah, that was my story. And if you're still listening, thank you so much for sticking around. I know it was long. I tried to make it a little shorter because I've seen that labor and delivery stories are pretty lengthy. They're pretty crazy. So I tried to stick everything in there. Just know that pregnancy, labor, deliveries, inductions, C-sections, everything, it's so unexpected. You can read as much as you want, you can do as much research as you think you can, and at the end, you will still be lost. Your story will always be different than anybody else's. I tell people my story all the time because they ask, and they're always like, wow, that's crazy. I can't believe you went through that. And I mean, I was admitted to the hospital, what was it, Monday morning, and I didn't have my daughter until Tuesday night, almost Wednesday. She was delivered at 8:30 at night. So it was a lengthy process, but I'm glad it happened the way it did because she's healthy and I'm happy. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Please let me know. Thanks and have a nice day.